Hey, what's going on? I am Matt O'Leary back with another video. Today's topic is going to be the New York Jets and an NFL mock draft because the NFL draft is right around the corner. But before we get started, I just want to mention that you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So now that we got that out of the way, let's get into this one. And I know that we did a mock draft just a couple of weeks ago, but that one was with no trades and if they stayed put at third overall. This one is going to include a couple of trades, starting with the first round. So let's get right into it and start with the first trade. I have the New York Jets trading back with the Washington Redskins for the 15th pick. In addition to the 15th overall pick, what the Redskins are going to have to give up is a second rounder, a third rounder, and a first round pick for next year. The second round pick is 46th overall. The next pick in the third round is 76th overall, and we don't know what the 2020 pick is going to be. So with that, we have the first pick on the board at 15th overall, and I'm going with Greedy Williams, cornerback out of LSU. Now, everyone thought the Jets would go with an edge rusher in the first round. If they trade back that far to 15, I think it would be in their best interest to go with a cornerback, and Greedy Williams is the best one in my opinion. Here's why they should go corner. The Jets don't really have all that much cornerback depth. Your number one corner is Tremaine Johnson, who had an awful year last year, and right now your number two corner is Darryl Roberts. I don't trust him as your number two. If he is your fourth cornerback, fine. Or as a backup, fine. But not as a starter alongside Tremaine Johnson, who would take a step back. You need to get younger and you need to get talented. And in a Greg Williams type of defense, you need a very, very good cornerback. We saw Denzel Ward go early in the draft last year, and he had a major impact with the Cleveland Browns last year in the Greg Williams defense. So I think Greedy Williams could have the same effect, and that's why I have the Jets moving back and selecting a cornerback. Round 2, pick 46, I have the New York Jets selecting a interior offensive lineman, a center/guard, Elton Jenkins out of Mississippi State. The Jets are going into the season with Harrison as their starting center. He is not nearly good enough. They were not in on any of the free agent centers, so it appears that they're either going to have to rely on Harrison, which I'm not fond of, or address this through the draft. To me, addressing this in the second round in an interior offensive lineman rich class seems to make a lot of sense there. Like I said, he plays at Mississippi State. He was an extremely talented interior lineman, and he could play either guard or center, so he's very versatile as well. That's why I have the New York Jets scooping him up in the second round. I also have them making a trade. Now, with the trade that they made earlier with the Redskins, they picked up another third rounder, which means they would have 3 picks in the third round. So I have them making a package to the Philadelphia Eagles to get back into the second round. The Jets trade pick 68 and 105, their fourth round pick, to get back into the second round for Philadelphia's pick 53. And with that pick, I have the New York Jets selecting an edge rusher. Finally, they address that need. And they go with Jalen Ferguson out of LA Tech. The Jets haven't had an edge rusher since John Abraham. It's been a very long time since they addressed this position. And someone like Ferguson can really address that in round number 2. Obviously, he's not as high profile as someone like Josh Allen, but he is still an extremely productive edge rusher and a good value in the second round. He had 17.5 sacks at Louisiana Tech last year and would add a nice complement piece in the 3-4 defense. Because let's think, you obviously are going to have McClendon, Williams, and Anderson as your 3 defensive linemen. Then as one of your outside linebackers, you'll have Jordan Jenkins. And then if you add in Ferguson on the other side, now you have a little bit of a pass rush. So in the first 2 rounds, you've addressed center, corner, and edge. Those are 3 huge positions, and to me, it makes a lot of sense adding depth at those positions. Some of these guys, like the 3 that I just mentioned, will probably be starters, and the Jets have to increase their dart throws in the early rounds of the draft because giving up your second round pick to land Sam Darnold in this year's draft, absolutely worth it, but you have to reestablish yourself and give yourself more picks because how many holes they have. And hopefully with the first 3 picks in this draft, what you're doing is plugging holes, like I said, at corner, at offensive line, playing center or guard, and at the edge position. So hopefully the Jets do something like this, giving themselves 3 picks within the first 2 rounds. That is something that I would thoroughly enjoy. With the first of their 2 third-round picks, pick number 76, that they acquired in one of their trades. I have them taking a tight end, Jace Sternberger out of Texas A&M. Now, he is someone who can line up in the slot as a wide receiver. He is a big receiving threat. And I know what you're thinking. Didn't they just draft somebody last year in the 3rd round in Chris Herndon? Yes, but you can never have too much tight end depth. Having a number 2 tight end is almost as important as having a number 3 or number 4 receiver in today's NFL. And Chris Herndon could be facing a suspension, and they need depth after him too. Because let's face it, are you going to really want to give targets to Tomlinson or Leggett? No, I'm done with that. I'm sick and tired of that. Get another target for Sam Darnold. Increase the probability of you having weapons on offense, and that works. Because let's say there are injuries at the wide receiver position or at even the tight end position. Now you have depth, and now you're not throwing to guys like Jermaine Kearse and Andre Roberts, something that Sam Darnold had to do in 2018. You were trying to improve your team and develop your quarterback, and adding another good tight end to the mix can absolutely help. Look at what happened with the Patriots earlier in this decade, in 2010 and 2011. They had 2 very good tight ends. One, Rob Gronkowski, who's going to be a Hall of Famer. The other, Aaron Hernandez. We know what happened with him. But as Aaron Hernandez, the player, he was very talented in the first few years in which he was in the league and was on track to even be better than Rob Gronkowski. It's not uncommon to have a nice 1-2 punch at the tight end position. I think it would really help out the Jets' offense. And that's something that they should absolutely look into in a very tight end rich class. And it's not something that's uncommon from other mock drafts that I've seen. I've seen other Jets mock drafts where they have the Jets taking a tight end, and I think this would be a really good pick for the Jets in the 3rd round. With the other 3rd round pick, I have the Jets going with Andy Isabella, wide receiver out of UMass. Now, we addressed the tight end position. I also think the Jets really need a 4th receiver, and adding someone like Isabella would absolutely make sense here. He's very small at 5'9", but he's extremely quick. He ran a 4.31 40-yard dash at the combine. The guy's a burner, and not only can he play in the slot, but he could also go deep, similar to Robbie Anderson. Now, the Jets just brought in Jamison Crowder. He should fill in as your starting slot guy. But again, injuries. You have to protect yourself from being able to overcome injuries. That's something that you need to be able to do in the NFL, and you're setting yourself up for long term. Let's say Isabella does work out. Perhaps not, but if he does, then you have 4 solid receivers. The Jets don't really have a true number 1, so you need to have depth. A combination of Isabella, Crowder, Enunwa, and Anderson, that's a pretty good receiving core. And then when you put in Herndon and Sternberger, the other tight end that you just drafted, you're in pretty good shape offensively. Not to mention that you have Le'Veon Bell too. That surely is going to help things out. But I have the Jets going wide receiver with their 2nd pick in the 3rd round. Now, due to the trades, the Jets don't pick again until the 6th round, so you're having a couple of dart throws. Obviously, in the 4th round, that is one of the trades pieces that we used to get back into the 2nd round, and the Jets traded a 5th round pick for Osemele, going to be the starting offensive guard for the New York Jets this year. That makes sense. So in the 6th round, I have the Jets doubling down on the edge position. It's the most important position on the defensive side of the football, and they have to take an extra dart throw at it, even though a 6th round pick isn't likely to pan out. You have to go after positions which you desperately need help in, and edge is one of those. I have the Jets going Shareed Miller out of Penn State, had 7.5 sacks last year. Again, probably not going to get a whole lot out of a 6th round pick, but it's something that you have to do if you're a member of the New York Jets because of how little depth they have at this position to begin with. Jordan Jenkins, as an outside linebacker, is a really good edge setter, but you need someone to get after the quarterback. Again, maybe you don't get a whole lot out of this guy in the 6th round, but it's worth taking a shot on. And in the 7th round, I have the Jets going offensive line once again. You can never have too many offensive linemen. With their last pick, 217, I have them going with Jesse Burkett. He's out of Stanford. Again, just a depth guy. He projects probably more as an interior offensive lineman at the NFL level. Probably a backup, but again, you can never have too much offensive line depth because outside of the quarterback position, offensive line is definitely the most important position on the offensive side of the ball. So that's who I have the Jets drafting in my 7-round mock draft with trades. If you agree with me, comment below. You can tell me who you'd like the Jets to target. I understand if you don't like going cornerback in the 1st round, but hopefully my explanation worked for you and you can understand why I justify taking a cornerback in the middle of the 1st round and why I'm okay trading back that far, because technically 15, you're going from a number 3 pick to 15. That's a big jump But adding a second rounder, adding a third rounder, and adding a future first round pick is absolutely worth it. The Redskins, they are going to be looking for a quarterback in this draft, most likely if they don't trade for Josh Rosen. So I could absolutely see them trading up for Dwayne Haskins. To me, it makes a lot of sense. And the Jets should be putting themselves in a position to trade back. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next time.